Episode 1 of Season 2 of House of Dragons premiered last night, June 16th on a Sunday. Basically, the whole first episode was basically just both sides, the blacks and the greens, dealing with their immediate repercussions of Lucerys' death, of Lucerys being killed by Aemon at the end of Season 1. Now, if you're not a House of Dragon fan, I'm sorry, with all the characters, it's gonna be hard for you. But let's see. So Lucerys and Aemon. So most of episode 1 of season 2 is basically just dealing with the downfall of the death of Lucerys, who was killed by Aemon. Aemon's dragon killed Lucerys and his dragon in the final episode of season 1. And now in season 2, episode 1, you're basically seeing how everybody is dealing with that death. So there's so much that happens with this episode. I guess I kind of want to figure out where I want to start with this. I guess I could just go to the Variety article that I read, or that I have for this, and it does a pretty good job. So let's see. I'm so not used to covering a news story is something that I'm very comfortable with. Covering doing a show review, I don't know if I should just let myself yap or how I should do this. Shit. All right, guys. I'm just going to start with this. Bear with me. This might not be the best. I'm going to just talk my ass off for a little bit. It's 40 minutes. I'm going to give myself 15 minutes to talk about this. All right. Why House of Dragons Season 2 premiere, kill it off, spoiler, and blood and cheese scene. And how. All right. So basically the main thing that happens, or the biggest thing, is the last scene of the show. And I'm going to get into that because it's supposedly different from the book. If you if you read the books, you probably think that the way they did it in the show is a little bit underwhelming. And then some of the people that I watched the episode with, they felt like it wasn't that good. To me personally, I thought how it ended I thought it was pretty crazy. My mouth was wide open, pause, and I was entertained by it. Now, throughout the episode, there was kind of some boring parts. I'm going to give the episode a 3.8/4.0 out of 5. 3.8/4.0 out of 5. Very good. It still felt like it was setting up the war, but the setup was really good. It continued to be good, and a fucking lot of shit happened. Let me go through my notes. I'm just going to go through the notes I wrote. So first, I guess I should just go through all of the characters and what you see through them. So Aegon Targaryen, House of Dragons. So let's start off with Aegon. And let me see him. Yeah. So let's start off with Aegon. In the first episode, we basically see him getting used to being king, and his first we see him basically being king, right? And I was surprised by that because in the first episode, it seems like he wants to be nice as king. Like in the scene where he's talking to the common folk, he's trying to give them shit. He's trying to be nice to them. He's trying to, I think one of them asked for their cattle back. He wants to give the cattle back. One of them is asking for some of the cattle that was taken for him to be, same thing. He's trying to work for the small towns people. He's not a Joffrey Baratheon. I'm yapping too much. He's not a complete maniac. I think he's just stupid, young, doesn't know how to be king, and he is evil and violent, which I think is just part of the Targaryen rich gene. He does have that violence and that evilness to him, but he doesn't seem like he wants to be violent and evil just for fun. He wants to help the good people, and he wants to help the small folk, and I think he wants to be seen as a good king, and a king that's not lazy, right? But you do see the propensity for him to be evil when the scene where when they're in the small council meeting with his son, and he's letting his son basically run around and shit and fuck with people, and one of the people in the small council meeting is hey, get your son, he's fucking with me. And Aegon is you want me to get my son? Why don't I let my son ride you like a fucking pony? Or why don't I let my son fuck with you? My son will, don't do too much. You saw it there, kind of that evilness, right? So I think that was interesting with me. And another thing that I think is foreshadowing as well, or kind of showing his character, is that Aegon, right off into the scene, and the first time we see the Greens is he's looking for his son. He's trying to bring him to the meeting. He wants to be a good dad. And then, spoiler alert, at the end of the episode, his fucking son gets killed. So I think that that's another interesting thing, is that you see Aegon as this character that has the ability to be evil and mean, but he wants to be nice with helping the small folk. He wants to be a good father with having his son be in the fucking meetings and like talking to his son and like just wanting to be around with him. While it does seem like they're both children, it's like he wants to be children together, which is like something like you could maybe respect. But you also know that he has the ability to be evil. And I think now, after what happened to his son and the way that he was killed, we're gonna see no more of nice Aegon, and he's gonna turn into like a Joffrey or Robert Baratheon type of like just sinister evil, just doing dirty shit. Anybody that comes and gets in his way, he's gonna fuck them up. Okay, let's get into Rhaenyra's character. I mean, Rhaenyra, there's not much really to say with her with episode 1, right? She only had one scene or one line in the whole entire scene where she was like, I want Aemon, right? So basically the whole first episode, Rhaenyra is basically trying to find proof that Lucerys is dead, right? And you're seeing her deal with that pain mainly just through, her facial expressions, how dirty she looks. You can tell she's been flying on dragonback for days. And then there's the scene where she finds kind of the wing of Lucerys's dragon, and then you also see she finds some of Lucerys's like clothes, and that's when she pretty much comes to terms with, okay, I know she's dead, or I know he's dead. I can start that grieving process, and that's when she goes back. I can forget where they're at right now. I think like Harrenhal or wherever, but that's where she goes back, and she gets back together with the rest of the blacks, with Daemon, with what's her name? The other girl, I can't think of her name, but they get back together and she basically starts to be queen again. But there's really not much you can say off of the first episode, but just feel bad for her. You can understand how she says, I want Aemon. I think basically what we're going to see is now just the next couple of episodes is just how she's going to deal with this and see her being a queen. But from the first episode, you didn't really see much of her. There's not much to think, or there's not much to make of. I mean, of course, she's going to want to see some proof of her son being dead. And of course, she's going to be fucking pissed, and she's going to want a son for a son, which the episode. Let's see. Otto. Same snake as usual, bro. You see him when Aegon is trying to be a good king in the scene where I was talking about. He's telling Aegon, you can't watch out for the small folk. You have to do all these things, which a part of the advice he was giving was true, but he was also still being a snake, still being a bitch. The conversation, again, where he was getting in Aegon's head, trying to do that puppet master shit the scene where he's asking Aegon, like, what type of king do you want to be? You don't want to be seen as your father as weak. You want to be seen as a king that makes decisions. So he's the same as usual. A bitch. Manipulator, not a good character, don't like him at all. Then let's get into Alicent and Sir Christian, which, I could go on for a while about them, bro, how fucking trash they are. I'm gonna wait a little bit. Let me take a little pause and see if there's anything that I want to show. Let's see. Nothing. Let's see. All right, bear with me. Bear with me for a second. Bear with me. If I can just find like something I can like put it on. Dang. My bad, y'all. So, I guess I'll just do it this way. You know what? Never mind. Let me turn. Yeah, the microphone's been saying it's still been on. Alicent. And Sir Christian Cole. These two fuckers right here. Spoiler alert, the first time you see them in the show, Alicent is eating her box. And now you see that they have a fucking relationship together. And one of the main things that started this war that made Alicent's hating ass not like Rhaenyra, and Sir Christian Cole's old whore, slut, lame ass switch sides to go and be with fucking Alicent's side is the fact that Rhaenyra had sex with him. Everybody was mad about this. That's what Alicent was really mad about. Saying that she's not doing her duty, that she is not a good person, she's not fit to be queen, judging her, and now you're having sex with him all these years later. And the fucked up thing about it is your son just killed her son. You're over here fucking the person that is the head of the Night's Watch that's supposed to be protecting everybody. More on that later. You're fucking him. Mad at Rhaenyra for doing it, and damn near partly started this war over doing it. And you're fucking... there's just so much with Alicent. These two are some of the like most annoying characters in a show I've seen in a while. Alicent, let's get to her. Manipulator, jealous, hater, fucking stupid. Sir Christian Cole, whore, pussy whipped, lame, vindictive, holds a grudge. Something's wrong with him. He's terrible at his job. He fucking sucks. These two characters, the fact that they're sleeping together, I honestly didn't think that would happen because I didn't think Alicent would give it to him. So Christian Cole is the type of lame ass, he's going to take it. For some reason, I didn't think Alicent would give it to him. I thought she would kind of be like, yeah, I don't fuck with you. You fucked Rhaenyra, all this and that. And the way she was judging Rhaenyra for doing it, I just didn't think it would happen. Yeah, seeing that definitely did surprise me. And I think both of these characters for the rest of the season are going to feel like shit because of how the episode ended. Now I've gotten into the characters, right, that I thought about. Now let's get into basically the last scene of the show, which was basically what everyone's talking about. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are kind of about it. I liked it. I guess I'm kind of about it. But basically, it's like cheese and blood and cheese, the people that Daemon... So basically when, let me calm myself down. Basically when Rhaenyra comes back from seeing the proof that her son's dead, she comes in and she's like, hey, I want Aemon. I want a body for a body, a son for a son. Daemon's like, okay, bet, we're going to get you your body. He has basically the two random people, he pays them to sneak into the Red Keep type shit and kill Aemon, and they aren't able to find Aemon, spoiler, and they end up killing Aegon's son. I can't think of his name. Let's see. It says it here. Yeah, Jaehaerys, and they end up killing Jaehaerys. Let me first play a clip from the show that I thought was fucking awesome. Because of just the foreshadowing of what it shows for the rest of the episode. Let me do this real quick. Let's see. Really good scene. As soon as I'll show the scene first.
Where is Jaehaerys?
Like, this episode had hella foreshadowing right there. Him even just walking, Aegon looking in and looking at him like, who's who? That's fucking foreshadowing.
Where is Jaehaerys?
Foreshadowing right there.
Attending his lessons.
And those are where?
What do you need of him?
taken into the small council. He'll be king one day. He must begin his instruction.
What if he does not want to be king?
Where is he?
The library. You must not interrupt his custom. I'm afraid.
Right here.
Don't be. They'd be fools to come with Vhagar protecting the city.
Not the dragons. The rats.
The Queen.
When I saw this, I knew it was foreshadowing, right? I knew there was going to be basically some rats, some people that are snitching, some people are telling information to the other side, but I thought it was going to be something that was going to show itself or manifest kind of later in the season. Obviously, if you read the book, you probably knew what was happening immediately. But then this is the first part of them, like, I'm scared of the rats, right? Then throughout the episode, you're kind of following the rat catcher, the guy that I think his name would be Cheese. You're following the rat catcher, you're seeing rats throughout the thing. And then the episode ends with just that crazy ass scene with Cheese, the rat catcher, and the other guy that used to be a former Night's Watch sneaking through the Red Wedding. And then they find, I can't think of her name right now. What is her? There's so many characters. Bear with me right now. I have the list right here. Bear with me. What's her name? Helena. With Helena, it basically ends with them not being able to find Aemon, but finding Helena with her children and killing them, right? And a lot of people said they didn't like that scene. I thought it was great. Now, a lot of people said they didn't like it if they read the books because it differs a lot from the books. And I found a video on Twitter that basically reads through how the scene ends the books, and it kind of goes to the differences, so I'm going to show you guys that right now, too. Bear with me. And I'm cutting this off so, like, when I go to my Twitter, like, you can't see the people that are, like, follow that probably don't want this up. Let me see. All right. So let's read this tweet first. All right, let me make this a little bit bigger. Oh. So it says, Blood and Cheese was horrifying in the books because they made Helena choose which one of her sons should die. She chose the youngest thinking he wouldn't remember by the end of killing, but they ended up killing the eldest Jaehaerys. This was just not as good. So I guess a little bit of the situations of how the son was killed. I can call her back in like 2 seconds. Or in like 20 minutes after I'm done streaming. I'm not about to stop. But basically the situation over how he was killed, where it happened. There was a couple of things that happened in the book that weren't put in the show that made the moment, I guess, not as big. And then let me play this video.
Slithered through the taverns and
So this is basically just the book, literally what happens in the book scene.
whispers slithered through the taverns and back alleys of Flea Bottom. 2 men were found. One was a former gold cloak, the other a rat catcher in the Red Keep who knew all its secrets. History remembers them only as Blood and Cheese. One night, Queen Helena entered the royal apartments with her daughter and 2 sons to put them to bed. Without warning, Blood and Cheese burst in, daggers in hand. They told her that a debt was owed. Blood and Cheese burst in, daggers in hand. They told her that a debt was owed. A son for a son. Blood and Cheese demanded she choose which son would be ripped from her forever. Queen Helena pleaded with the men to kill her instead, but they refused. Weeping, Helena named her younger son, Maelor. Perhaps she thought the boy was too young to understand. Or perhaps because the older boy was King Aegon's firstborn son and heir. You hear that, little boy? Cheese whispered to the younger son. Your mama wants you dead. Then Blood struck off the older boy's head with a single blow. When the guards burst in, they found Queen Helena still screaming, clasping her dead son's body to her, mad with grief.
So basically, well, yeah, you guys see it. There's another son that they have that's in the book that's not in the show. So that kind of makes it a little bit different. Then in the book, why does it do that? Then in the book, I guess, let me see. Then in the book, I guess, it doesn't happen in Rhaenyra's room. The death, like the killing and everything happens in Alicent's room. They tie Alicent up out and they wait for, Rhaenyra to come in with Alicent, or to come in with the kids to tell Alicent goodnight, and then they kind of bum rush her and they do it all right there. Whereas in the show, they kind of just sneak in on Rhaenyra while she's telling the kids goodnight, and then, the whole scene plays out, right? And then the final thing that happens is why Blood and Cheese are literally killing the Jaehaerys, Aegon's son, literally cutting off his head. You can hear him cutting off the head. You can see the scene of like Rhaenyra like running with her other kid with the daughter, running to who? Her fucking mom. And what's her mom doing in the final scene of the show? Having sex with Criston Cole. While Criston Cole, the head of the Night's Watch. So while he should be watching the castle and making sure the royalty is safe, he's having sex with the queen. And Rhaenyra is running through the halls of the Red Keep, her baby son's head getting cut off, and she runs in on her mom having sex with the leader of the Night's Watch, and she's stunned, and she's just holding the baby, and she says, they killed the boy. I thought it was pretty fucking fire. A lot of people, even the people I was with, seemed like they weren't really feeling it like that. That scene alone, the tension was building up in it. I could feel it. The way that it was filmed, I thought it was a really good scene. I thought it was a great way to end it, and I thought it completely shows the stakes of how Aegon's going to act. I'm interested to see on how Rhaenyra's going to act, because that's not what she asked for. She said, I want Aemon, a son for a son. Daemon told them niggas, a son for a son, an eye for an eye. And them niggas killed, just said, oh, we can't find Aemon. This little nigga will work. That's not even Alicent's son. So I'm also interested in how Rhaenyra's going to handle this. But all in all, like, people saying they didn't like the scene, I fucked with it. I thought it was a good scene. I thought it was a good ending. The episode was kind of lackluster, but that's because, like, I think you can still see that they're setting shit up. And then with this Variety article, there was a couple of things I wanted to read based off, like, what happened. Let me see. And it's basically it has, like, interviews from the showrunner, Ryan Condal, I think is his name. This guy, he's basically, let me move my camera. He's basically the showrunner of House of Dragon, and Variety did an article, and he basically is talking about some of the decisions of how he made, like, the death of Jaehaerys, some of the decisions of why he made that different, some of the things that are going to happen with the season, some of the character influences. So let's read this, let's go through a couple things with this Variety article. I'm not going to go through all of it. Let's go through the first couple paragraphs. So, after closing season 1 with the swift and shocking death of a child, Rhaenyra Targaryen's son, Lucerys Velaryon, opened its second season with a series of grief-driven choices and insidious plans that lead to the most gruesome murder of another child, Jaehaerys Targaryen, the grandson of Alicent Hightower. We talked about that. So, let's see. The entire Blood and Cheese death sequence differs in multiple ways from the heinous act committed in the book Fire and Blood, the Game of Thrones universe book that the fictional history of the Targaryen family serves as the source material for House of the Dragon. So this goes into kind of the differences again. In the book, let's see. There's a lot of things. We're not going to go through that. Let's see. I just want to get to the part. Okay. Then there is a significant difference about where the murder takes place, with Alicent not witnessing the death of her grandchild and instead being in bed with Criston Cole when he is slaughtered. It adds a level of shame and guilt that is different to anything that Alicent has ever experienced before, by being indisposed with the head of the Kingsguard, who should have been on duty to make sure that the castle was on lock. Cook says that's a theme that plays throughout the season. If they hadn't embarked on this affair, would this have happened? They told themselves they hold themselves accountable completely. So basically, they're basically saying that because they're in bed having sex together while this fucking thing happens, Allison and Christian Cole basically feel like shit for the rest of the season, and they're basically asking themselves, hey, if we hadn't been fucking sleeping together, maybe our grandkid, or not our grandkid, Allison would be like, maybe my grandkid wouldn't be fucking dead. And then Christian Cole spent all of season 1 not wanting to be a whore for Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra asked her, hey, we can be together. You just got to be quiet about it. No, I don't want to be quiet about it. I don't want to do it. No. I signed this oath. I did this oath to be a part of the Night's Watch, and that's my fucking job. And then years down the line, not only are you having sex when you shouldn't be having sex with the queen, and you're being her whore undercover and going in secret with people, and you're letting people die on your watch. So basically they're saying that because they were in bed having sex together, it makes them feel bad for the rest of the season, and it kind of does like a character shit for Allison and Sir Christian Cole, which is something that I think is a good difference from the book, even though I haven't read the book. And I like how kind of like them sleeping together, you show the shame in that immediately, because as fans you're gonna have shame in that, like for sure, because we hate them. But then you see the shame that they're gonna have for themselves. So I think that's a good move. But all in all, the episode, I think, was a great episode for episode 1, and I think it's gonna have everybody wanting to go back to episode 2. I'm interested to see what the fucking I'm interested to see what the talk about it is gonna be, or what the views are gonna be. But yeah, I give the episode a 3.8 out of 5/4 out of 5. House of Dragon.